Come on! Hey guys, hey girls, hey everybody, I am George, and I am here to tell you about Baby Driver.
And that's what makes him the best.
Number 1.
You might think this is unrelated, but it's not, because I am going to talk about the movie poster. The movie poster is super badass, 100% 80s gold. This poster looks like the kind of thing you'd see in a video arcade. It could be the artwork for Outrun. It is super awesome.
Get ready.
And the writer-director of this film, Edgar Wright, loves this kind of stuff. Just for fun, he even made fake movie trailers for the Grindhouse movie by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez.
If you are thinking of going into this house, don't.
Also, in his previous film, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, he had a series of fake movie posters with fake taglines that were absolutely amazing. My favorite one being this fake movie poster with one of the greatest taglines of all time. The good news is, you're going to live. The bad news is, he's going to kill you. God, I wish someone would actually make that movie. I would totally rent it from Blockbuster. Anyway, the point is, most movie posters today are just photographs of people's faces, but this movie poster is hand-painted. It's awesome, just like the movie posters of yesteryear.
Number 2.
Number 2, the cinematography is 100% badass. Ever since he made Shaun of the Dead, his debut successful movie. I know he made a movie before Shaun of the Dead. It was called A Fistful of Fingers. It's almost completely unknown and unseen, even though once in a while the movie theater, the Prince Charles in central London, actually shows that movie. But the one that he was known for first, worldwide, globally, that made him a highly respectable and acclaimed director was Shaun of the Dead. And one of the things that was clear about Shaun of the Dead is that it was storyboarded. The whole movie has amazing cinematography, meticulous cinematography, because Edgar Wright is very, very strict about how he uses his camera, and he plans every shot before he films it.
So hopefully what you see here is what you might have watched. If it's drastically different, then something went really fucked up.
Something done fuck up.
This movie, Baby Driver, is no exception. It has fantastic cinematography, although interestingly, even though you would expect that the greatest scenes would probably be the car chase scenes, perhaps the most fantastic moment with the camera in the whole movie is early on, when there's a single take that follows Baby, the main character, through the streets as he's going to buy coffee. It's around 5 minutes long and there's not a single cut, and it's wonderfully choreographed. It goes to the beat, to the music, even the background blends in with the actual song. In fact, the whole movie, this is kind of like Edgar Wright's equivalent of a musical, because it's like an action movie, an 80s style action movie, melded with songs as if there are musical interludes, just like you're watching a musical. Perhaps this is as close as we are ever going to get to actually getting a musical from Edgar Wright.
Number 3.
This movie got some badass chase sequences, yo. It doesn't have the budget of a movie like The Fast and the Furious 8, but it does have real stunts, and it's got one hell of a kickin' soundtrack to boot. Another thing about it is that Edgar Wright is a 100% film director who makes films because he loves films, and he wants to give back some of that love to you, the audience. And therefore, when you sit there and you watch this movie, you can't help but get a sense that this is a guy who wants to make something that you, the audience, will love. He wants to make a movie that you feel good watching, something that makes you feel high and euphoric, and he's real good at that. He ain't about making reality. He ain't about telling you a story that's necessarily deep and meaningful. He's about entertaining you. He's about making you have a good time, and that's real good, because that's real hard to actually do.
It's the one who say listen to the music all the time?
Is he mental?
Mental meaning slow. Was he slow?
No.
This is ultimately a throwback movie to the sort of stuff you'd get in the 80s, kind of like Point Break or Last Boy Scout. I know this from personal experience because by luck I met Edgar Wright once when he came to the Prince Charles movie theater in London, and he showed those movies back to back because they were an influence for his other movie, Hot Fuzz. Well, for sure, they also influenced this movie too.
Number 4.
This is the first Edgar Wright movie that's written and directed by Edgar Wright. You haven't seen that yet because all of the big ones, the Cornetto trilogy, were written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. This one is written and directed by Edgar Wright. And for that reason, it's unique, it's interesting, and it tells you a little bit more about the man and his personality than you necessarily would get in those other movies. And I suppose one thing that can be learned about the man is the romantic side of himself. There's something incredibly benevolent, ultimately, about the character Baby. Now, I can't say that it's a perfect movie, actually, and I can't say that the romance in the picture is perfect either. It's not perfect. At times, it's a little bit flimsy, but one thing that's nice about it is that the character at his core is so good, and he's always trying to do the right thing no matter the stakes. So he's cool, he's badass, he's wild, and at his core, he's a pretty nice guy. But I think this says something about Edgar Wright, actually, because it's the first of his movies written and directed by him.
We'll return after these messages.
YouTube has thousands of channels, many of which have millions of subscribers. You are currently watching a small channel with almost no subscribers. Can I break up? This stuff takes work. Go on, hit that big red button. Only cool people are allowed to.
Number 5.
Last but not least, it's an original movie, an original story. It's not a remake and it's not a sequel. Even before this, Edgar Wright fell a little bit into the trap of doing a Cornetto trilogy. They were something of an unrelated trilogy, let's be fair, and they were fantastic. Some of the best directed movies ever, especially 1 and 3, so far as I'm concerned. And then he went on to make Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, one of the best movies ever. But that was based on a graphic novel. This movie, for once, you get to go to the movie theater and watch something that is not a sequel, not a remake, something that is actually fresh and new. Now, once again, it's not the best movie ever. To be perfectly honest, I think that it starts better at the beginning than it ends at the end. A friend of mine summed it up really well. He said that it was more like a glide, a slow descent. Not as good at the end as at the beginning on the first viewing. I will say that already I'm compelled to go and watch this movie again, and sometimes you like a movie even more the second time than you did the first time, so maybe I will change my mind on that. Overall, not my favorite Edgar Wright film, but still a great and worthy addition to the Edgar Wright library, which so far has been absolutely one of the best directors' catalogs that there is. Baby Driver. Check it.
Doc said Michael Myers.
This is Mike Myers.
It should be the Halloween mask.
This is a Halloween mask.
No, the killer dude from Halloween.
Oh, you mean Jason?
No!